Welcome to Antique Sprinklers. Today we're talking about an old Rainbird number 45. It was a 3/4 inch inlet bronze adjustable part circle impact sprinkler. And it has a really unique shape to it and some really interesting features. So the first thing you might notice is that the lever arm on this guy, and let me open it up so it travels, is very, very short. And as in talking with folks in the industry, I'll get to this in a minute, that might have played a role in its demise. It has this really cool old school hoop changer, and the trip pin is in front rather than in back like the old, more recent models were. It has these solid brass trips on it. And you might see in the video that these are, they're tight, but they could be a little tighter. They travel just a little bit. It has the mechanism on the back, or no, this is actually the front, I suppose. But the bit that will hold the lever arm from traveling when it's in reverse mode is really, really cool. It's kind of curved here, and I get some shots of it in action from the top, where for one thing you see all the bricks I pile up to keep the risers from bouncing back and forth. But you also see like these almost like concentric circles as you're looking down. The sprinkler almost looks like a watch mechanism to me when you look at it from that angle. So pretty neat. The other things that were interesting about this model are the range of nozzles that you could get with it. It came with either 5/30 seconds, 3/16, 7/30 seconds, 1/4 inch, or 9/30 seconds nozzle. And so that gave you a huge range from, at a low end on the pressure, the smallest nozzle of 25 psi being, about under a 4 gallon a minute nozzle to, if you're running that big 9/30 seconds at 60 psi, it was a 17 gallon a minute nozzle that was delivering water on a 52-foot radius. This guy has a 1/4 inch nozzle in it, and here we're running it between 55 and 60 psi, so that gets me about a 50-foot, about a 51-foot radius at roughly 13 gallons a minute. What's funny is the 13 gallons a minute alarms my my irrigation controller and flow meter, and so it sends me an alert when I'm running this guy off of my quick coupler saying I might have sprung a leak somewhere. But it works well though, even though I'm kind of straining the piping that is supporting it. I believe it was introduced sometime in the mid-40s, possibly the early 50s. The 65 had come along before that, and that's the model that Orton Engelhart got the his reverse mechanism patented on, and I'll share a picture where you can see it. It looks like the very first 65 in the patent. And but by the time this guy came along, he'd left the company and they were carrying his ideas forward without him, and it didn't last long. So I think it's a 1957 catalog that I have this guy in, and I know that there was a couple advertisements I found on newspapers.com from a ranching and farming publication in Montana from about 1952, I'm going to say off the top of my head, that showed them on ring bases of all things. And so, but by the catalogs I have in the early 1960s, they're long gone. My buddy Frank, who actually is where I got this one, I have two others I'll tell you about in a sec. He's been rebuilding sprinklers for over 40 years now, and some of the challenges that this thing had, that short arm, it just creates a situation where it doesn't really lope, and the big nozzles create such force on it, and then there's no breakup mechanism whatsoever on it. So it's a very, very violent sprinkler that essentially beats itself to death. The arms get way out of alignment pretty easily, and so I think that might have been one of the things that led to this sprinkler's replacement with the number 35 that's was in production for decades and decades, and is probably a better sprinkler overall. So in terms of seeing it in operation, another collector I'm friends with down in Southern California remembers seeing these on his grandfather's property and on his uncle's property. He saw them on quick couplers and things like that. And then his grandfather also mentioned having something that looked a lot like this in a can, like the original, 21s that Buckner introduced around 1940 or so. And given the short size of the arms, I have to believe that they at least had their eyes on these being an internal for pop-up sprinklers. And I guess those early pop-up sprinklers were a really cool novelty, but they were not without their trouble. So his grandfather opted to take them out and put in these impacts on risers then, which is how he saw them. And but a cool sprinkler nevertheless, and short-lived obviously compared to the other sprinklers in the Rainbird line that went on and on for decade after decade. They didn't even keep the number 45 designation. If you want a 3/4 inch part circle impact, it was going to be a 35 after that. And so I think it's a great sprinkler. I'm trying to show more sprinkler and less bill in these videos. So let me know how you feel about that, but be nice. Oh, the other bit I was going to mention about these, I hadn't run into them anywhere in my career. And then, or in just sort of my poking around the internet after I switched careers. And I got the one where I told you, and then early last fall, somebody advertised that they wanted to sell their entire Rainbird collection in one shot, and he had roughly 54 sprinklers ranging from a number 20 to a 100B, and including 2 95s. So I talked to him a little bit online, and it turned out he lived basically 2 miles from my house, which is unbelievable. And I went over, took a look at it, and he wanted a fair price, and so I ended up with the 54 Rainbird sprinklers, and in it were 2 of the 45s. So within 3 months, a sprinkler I'd never heard of that is really, really interesting looking. I ended up with 3 of them. I don't know what I'm going to do with the other 2 yet. This guy I keep on display just because it's so darn unique. I think you're going to like seeing the sprinkler in operation. It does put out quite a bit of water for a little bitty sprinkler, and it has a nice pattern to it. I would also encourage you, if you like the video, to hit the thumbs up button and to subscribe to the channel. And more than that, I have a playlist of videos from other guys who put out sprinkler content that I really like. And I would encourage you to check out all those, and you'll see just a wide variety of sprinklers presented in many, many different ways. And I think you'll enjoy it if you like this particular video. With that, I'm going to hold to my promise of less bill, more sprinkler, and let's watch this thing in operation. Thank you.